Well, folks, the time has finally arrived for the GOAT. Considered one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, after playing 22 seasons and winning a historic 7 Super Bowl titles, Tom Brady is officially retiring from the NFL and his football career. Now, 44-year-old Brady, who holds the NFL record for touchdowns, passing yards, and playoff wins, has been rumored to be considering retirement since the Bucs lost to the Rams last weekend. And reports suggesting that family and health are the largest factors in his decision, but it's still just hard to believe that after a career that spanned 3 separate decades, Brady is finally hanging up the helmets and pads. But Brady is not the only prior Super Bowl champion quarterback retiring this week. Ben Roethlisberger also announced the end to his football career earlier this week on Thursday. And I'm sure our very own Jeff George is still reeling from this news. Oklahoma State, though, stole the biggest story in college basketball here today, taking on the top-ranked Baylor Bears down in Waco. Cowboys hopping out to a very hot start, holding a 17-point lead at one point in the first half. Now, sophomore guard Bryce Thompson led the way in scoring with 19 points as the Cowboys served Baylor their second consecutive home loss this year, upsetting them 61-54. Bedlam. It really was the perfect way to describe the slugfest between Oklahoma and Oklahoma State's basketball teams as the two squared off in a classic rivalry game in Stillwater earlier this afternoon. In what held a very postseason-like vibe, OU was held to 38% shooting and just struggled to get to the free throw line. And with Caleb Boone and Musa Cisse both notching 12 points on the day, the Cowboys stole a bedlam victory over OU 64-55, serving Porter Moser and the Sooners their 7th loss out of their last 8 games. And man, did Kentucky manhandle Kansas in this one, folks. A flurry of first-half scoring from the Wildcats gave them a 20-point lead at halftime, and that was pretty much all they really needed. On a wet and slippery day, the running game was really where it was at. UAB running back Dwayne McBride, rushing for 183 yards and a touchdown, was outdone by his counterpart, Cougar running back Tyler Algier, rushing for over 190 yards and 3 total touchdowns in this game. Whew. Joe Burrow just lit it up in this game, throwing for over 440 yards and 4 touchdowns in a 34-31 win, led by senior guard Tyree Appleby, who scored 13 of his season-high 21 points down the stretch, as the Gators come roaring back to steal the dub from Oklahoma State, 81-72. We start up in Cincinnati, where the Bengals were looking for their first playoff win in over 31 years against the Las Vegas Raiders. And Joe Burrow continuing to live up to the hype as he did all year long, completing 70% of his passes and slinging it for 244 yards and 2 TDs. The Sooners had a great day of shooting, hitting 59% from behind the arc and 19 of 22 from behind the free throw line. Senior guard Elijah Harkless led the way in scoring for the Sooners with 21 points on the day as Oklahoma served Arkansas their first loss of the season, winning it 88-66. The Thunder also playing tonight at the Paycom Center, taking on the Cavaliers. Dort and Baisley both with 17 points on the night, and SGA with 21, but sadly it wasn't enough as the Thunder come up short against the Cavaliers, who grabbed the dub 107-102. The Crimson Tide caught fire in the second quarter as Alabama quarterback Bryce Young put on an absolute show, slinging it for over 400 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nick Saban does it again, winning his 8th SEC title as the Crimson Tide roll over the Georgia Bulldogs 41-24. 37-year-old Dallas Stars forward Joe Pavelski captained the Central Division against Philadelphia Flyers center Claude Giroux and the Metropolitan Division in a fun exhibition game to earn some bragging rights against one another this season. And a step-back, game-winning buzzer-beater tray from SGA delivered the Thunder their 9th win of the season, beating the Clippers 104-103.